What if everything you believed about love, women, and happiness is a carefully crafted illusion? Nietzsche, one of history's most provocative philosophers, saw through the fairy tales and exposed a darker reality, a reality most men refuse to face. Today, I'll take you on a journey through Nietzsche's harshest truths about female nature, desire, and the struggle for power in relationships. If you're ready to confront what society won't tell you and reclaim control over your life, then listen closely, because this is the knowledge that could change everything. Most men spend their lives confused, chasing love, validation, and happiness from women, only to end up heartbroken, used, or trapped. Nietzsche didn't just observe this, he dissected it, revealing the brutal undercurrents of desire and power that define human relationships. In Do Ende en Dav, Nisto's Cause, forget what you've been told about romantic love being a spiritual bond or destiny. Nietzsche saw love as a battlefield, a raw biological force driven by instincts far older than civilization itself. It's not about fairy tales, it's about survival, power, and will. When you feel that electric attraction, that obsessive desire, your brain isn't connecting with her soul, it's calculating, subconsciously assessing fertility, status, and social power. Women's attraction works the same way, just with different priorities. Nietzsche argued that the pursuit of love is the ultimate test of strength, but it's also the ultimate trap. Love is not a reward for virtue, but a game of dominance and deception where weakness is punished mercilessly. Think about it. How many men have sacrificed everything for a woman who later abandoned them without a second thought? How many marriages fall apart when passion fades? This isn't a coincidence, it's nature's design. Women don't choose men based on fairness or loyalty. They follow an ancient program, hardwired to seek strength, status, and security, qualities tied directly to survival and reproduction. A man's devotion means nothing if he can't provide these. Nietzsche saw clearly that women are rarely guided by reason, they are ruled by instincts and emotions. This isn't misogyny, it's observation. Look at dating apps where a small percentage of men receive the majority of attention. Look at divorce courts, where loyalty can mean financial ruin. The pattern repeats because biology never changes. Most men believe love is mutual, and that if they sacrifice enough, prove their worth, they'll be rewarded. Nietzsche warned that to be loved, one must be strong, not just physically, but socially and psychologically. Women don't fall for nice, they fall for power. This is why the good guy finishes last, not because he's unworthy, but because he misunderstands the game. He thinks love is earned through service, but women instinctively are drawn to men who don't need to serve. The chase, the conquest, is what excites. Once possession is achieved, interest fades. Men who cling too hard, who make a woman their entire world, watch her walk away. But this isn't a woman's fault, it's nature's. The man who understands this stops blaming and starts strategizing. Nietzsche's lesson isn't to hate women, it's to see clearly. Love isn't fantasy, it's negotiation, a ruthless negotiation of power where weakness always loses. And here's the twist, this is only the beginning. The next truths are darker still. They reveal why modern men are outplayed in every arena and how to flip the script. Society preaches equality, but biology operates on its own laws. Women hold the ultimate leverage, not because they're cruel, but because nature designed them to be selectors. From puberty onward, a woman's value peaks early, while a man must build his worth through struggle. Nietzsche described women as eternal children, childish, frivolous, and short-sighted by nature. This is not an insult, but an evolutionary truth. A woman's youth and beauty are her currency, and she instinctively knows how to spend it. Today's average man faces a paradox, told to be vulnerable while women chase dominance, shamed for masculinity, while alpha males rule dating apps, exhausted providing yet often discarded in courts. Modern women haven't just embraced power, they weaponized it. Social media turns attention into currency, and men become unpaid laborers, simping for scraps of validation from women who will never fully commit. Why? Because they've been sold a lie, that devotion alone is enough. Nietzsche foresaw this trap before dating apps and social media. Women are conditioned to be incapable of genuine love. Female love is conditional, tied to utility. A man isn't cherished for who he is, but for what he provides. When he stops providing, love fades. This isn't cynicism, it's survival. Women are wired to seek the best mate. If a man stagnates, she resents him. If he falls behind, she replaces him, and modern society encourages her to do so. Nietzsche divided men into two categories, those who serve and those who are served. The beta male exhausts himself proving worth. The alpha commands it effortlessly. One begs for loyalty, the other inspires obsession. You see it everywhere. The office worker sacrificing health for a promotion, hoping to regain respect. The gym rat whose body attracts only casual interest. The simp spending his paycheck on a girl who ghosts him when a higher status man appears. These men aren't victims, they are volunteers. But Nietzsche didn't just expose the problem, he revealed the solution. The first rule of survival is to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The man who thrives is not the romantic clinging to outdated ideals, but the one who masters the game, understanding that the game is rigged only if you play by the wrong rules. To understand Nietzsche's harsh truths about women and relationships, you must first grasp his concept of the will to power. This is not just about brute force or domination. It's a deeper, fundamental drive within all living beings to assert, expand, and enhance their influence and vitality. For men, this will to power is expressed in ambition, creativity, and conquest, including conquest in love. Women, on the other hand, wield a different kind of power, a subtler, yet no less formidable influence. Nietzsche recognized that women's power is often indirect, operating through manipulation, charm, and emotional influence. Their strength lies in shaping the world around them, bending wills rather than breaking bones. This duality creates a battlefield of wills where men and women use different strategies to pursue their ends. But here's where most men fail. They underestimate the nature of this feminine power and overestimate their own position. The tragedy is that men are often blind to the very forces working against them, blinded by myths of romantic love, fairness, and equality. Nietzsche believed that behind the social masks and polite conversation lies a ruthless struggle for survival and dominance, a shadow war of wills that governs attraction, loyalty, and betrayal. This war is fought quietly, with smiles and words, but the stakes are primal. Consider the concept of ressentiment, which Nietzsche explored deeply. It describes the psychological state of those who feel powerless and harbor deep resentment, envy, and bitterness toward those they perceive as stronger or more successful. Too many men fall into ressentiment with women, feeling wronged, used, or cheated, but never acting to change their reality. Nietzsche warned that ressentiment poisons the soul. It breeds weakness and victimhood, making men slaves to their emotions instead of masters of their fate. The solution: to embrace strength, take responsibility, and reclaim the will to power with clarity and purpose. Now, Nietzsche did not suggest that all women are manipulative or evil. Instead, he pointed out the natural roles and drives shaped by evolution and culture. Women seek security, resources, and social standing because historically their survival depended on it. Men seek challenge, achievement, and dominance because those traits enhance their reproductive success. Modern society, however, has clouded these roles. The feminist narrative demands equality, but often ignores biological realities. Women have gained social and economic power, but the ancient instincts remain. This disconnect causes confusion, frustration, and conflict in relationships. Nietzsche's philosophy offers a path through this chaos. Recognize the truth of human nature without moralizing it, then act accordingly. Don't succumb to idealism that blinds you to reality. Don't fall for narratives that weaken your resolve. A man who understands Nietzsche's vision will not beg for love or validation. Instead, he will cultivate his own power, intellectually, physically, and socially, and attract women by being a force of nature, not a supplicant. Nietzsche famously criticized the slave morality of his time, a system that glorified weakness, humility, and obedience as virtues, while vilifying strength, pride, and ambition. This morality, he argued, was a tool used by the weak to undermine the strong. In relationships, This translates to men who are taught to suppress their natural dominance and desires to appear nice or respectful, while women exploit these concessions. The man who accepts slave morality loses his power and his chance at true love. But Nietzsche's ideal is the Übermensch, the overman or superman, who creates his own values and lives beyond conventional morality. For men dealing with women, this means rejecting societal lies about romance and embracing a life led by self-mastery and will. Nietzsche's Übermensch is not a tyrant but a creator. He masters himself first, his emotions, impulses and fears, then leads in the world with clarity and strength. Such a man does not chase women. Women are naturally drawn to him. This is why Nietzsche's teachings remain relevant today, especially as men navigate the confusing terrain of modern dating and relationships. The key is not to change women, but to change yourself, to rise above base emotions, and become the kind of man who commands respect and desire effortlessly. Nietzsche also warned about the danger of herd mentality, blindly following social norms, expectations, and the crowd's opinions. Men trapped in herd mentality seek approval from others, including women, instead of forging their own path. The herd's morality often equates vulnerability and submission with goodness, and dominance with evil. Nietzsche flipped this on its head, urging men to break free from the herd, think independently, and embrace their inner strength. This independence is the foundation of true attraction. Women are drawn not to neediness or compliance, but to confidence and self-possession. The man who stands firm in his values, who accepts himself fully, flaws and all, becomes irresistible. Another Nietzschean concept crucial here is amor fati, or love of fate. This means embracing life in all its suffering, chaos, and beauty without complaint. For men, this means accepting that relationships will never be perfect, that betrayal and loss are part of the game, and that only by embracing these truths can you find peace and power. Nietzsche didn't promise happiness, he promised greatness through struggle. The man who understands this will not fear heartbreak or rejection. Instead, he will see these as tests to be endured and lessons to be learned. This mindset transforms suffering from a curse into a tool. Pain becomes fuel for growth, rejection a sign to sharpen your will, and loneliness an opportunity for self-discovery. But how does a man apply these truths practically in today's world? How do you navigate a dating culture rife with mixed signals, ghosting, and fleeting attention? First, stop seeking external validation. Nietzsche teaches that relying on others for your worth is a form of slavery. Your value must come from within, your achievements, your integrity, your self-respect. Second, cultivate your strengths relentlessly. Whether it's physical fitness, financial independence, or intellectual development, be the man who is constantly improving and evolving. Third, embrace your masculine energy fully. This doesn't mean aggression or cruelty, but confidence, decisiveness, and purpose. Women respond to men who have clear direction and don't apologize for it. Fourth, be aware of manipulation, but don't become cynical. Understanding female nature doesn't mean distrusting all women. It means recognizing patterns and protecting yourself emotionally. Fifth, develop emotional resilience. Nietzsche's philosophy is not about suppressing feelings, but mastering them. Be aware of your emotions, but don't be ruled by them. Finally, realize that the ultimate victory is self-mastery. The man who masters himself no longer fears loss or rejection because his identity is whole and unshakable. Nietzsche's vision may seem cold or harsh at first glance, but it is ultimately liberating. It frees men from illusions, softens the sting of betrayal, and empowers them to live boldly and authentically. In the final analysis, Nietzsche's dark truths about women and relationships are not a call to despair, but a call to awakening, a challenge to rise above societal lies and personal weaknesses, to embrace your will to power, and to live a life of greatness. The next segment will dive deeper into Nietzsche's view on love, passion, and the paradox of desire, where pleasure and pain intertwine, and why the strongest men find freedom in embracing the darkest aspects of human nature. Now, let's turn to one of Nietzsche's most paradoxical and profound insights, the nature of love and desire. Unlike the fairy tales and pop culture myths we're fed, Nietzsche saw love not as a gentle, nurturing force, but as a volatile, often destructive power, one that reveals the raw core of human nature. To Nietzsche, love is entangled with power, possession, and the will to overcome. It's not about comfortable companionship or safe affection. Instead, it's a battlefield where individuals seek to dominate and transform each other, often through intense passion and conflict. This idea shocks many because it strips away the romantic veneer, but Nietzsche believed that true love demands risk, struggle, and even suffering. Only through this crucible can individuals grow beyond their limits. He warned against the love of comfort, which he saw as a shallow, stagnant trap. People often settle for safe, predictable relationships out of fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, fear of confronting the darker parts of themselves. But Nietzsche urged us to embrace the storm, to seek love that challenges us, tears us down, and rebuilds us stronger. This connects closely with Nietzsche's concept of eros, the primordial life force that drives creation, destruction, and transformation. Eros is not a gentle current but a roaring fire that consumes and renews. To love truly, one must face this fire head-on. The paradox here is that the greatest joy and deepest pain come from the same source. Love can elevate us to ecstatic heights, but also plunge us into despair. Nietzsche did not sugarcoat this. He insisted that anyone who wishes to live fully must accept this duality. This brings us to another difficult truth. Desire is never purely innocent or pure. It's intertwined with possession and jealousy, with the urge to conquer and claim. When you desire another person, you are implicitly expressing a will to possess, to make them part of your world, your reality. This isn't a call to objectify, but a recognition of the raw drives beneath civilized behavior. Nietzsche challenges us to acknowledge these drives honestly, rather than pretending they don't exist. Moreover, desire reveals the deepest vulnerabilities, the hunger for affirmation, the fear of loss, the yearning for connection. But Nietzsche teaches that relying on others to fill this hunger leads to dependency and weakness. The man who understands Nietzsche's view of desire seeks to harness it rather than be enslaved by it. He knows that passion can be a powerful tool for growth if wielded consciously. Nietzsche also explored how love and desire relate to self-overcoming, the process of transcending one's limitations to become something greater. True love, in his view, should inspire self-mastery, not surrender. This is where many men fail. They lose themselves in love, mistaking obsession or infatuation for connection. They forget that before loving another, they must master themselves. In Nietzsche's framework, the strongest relationships are those between two individuals who are each pursuing their own path of growth and power. Love becomes a dynamic dance of mutual elevation rather than a stifling bond of dependence. Another crucial aspect Nietzsche touched on is the tragic love, the recognition that all love is shadowed by loss and impermanence. No relationship is permanent. All are subject to change, decay, and death. Rather than despairing over this, Nietzsche teaches to embrace it, to love fully, while accepting that loss is inevitable. This acceptance liberates men from clinging to illusions and prepares them to face life's uncertainties with courage. He even suggests that the awareness of love's tragic nature can deepen its intensity and meaning. Knowing that a moment is fleeting makes it more precious, more alive. This view contrasts sharply with modern culture's obsession with happily ever after and eternal commitment. Nietzsche warns that such ideals can blind us to reality and cause greater suffering when shattered. Instead, he advocates for a kind of active love, a love that is conscious, courageous, and self-respecting. It does not demand permanence, but cherishes presence. Now, how does this philosophy apply practically to men navigating relationships today? First, cultivate emotional strength. Accept that love involves risk and potential pain. Do not avoid vulnerability, but also do not let vulnerability become weakness. Second, develop self-awareness around your desires. Understand what motivates you and what you seek from love. Is it validation, security, growth? Be honest with yourself. Third, seek relationships that challenge and inspire you rather than comfort you. Surround yourself with partners who push you to be better and who themselves strive for growth. Fourth, embrace impermanence. Let go of unrealistic expectations of eternal happiness. Instead, focus on creating meaningful moments now. Fifth, practice amor fati in love. Love your fate, including its difficulties and losses. This mindset builds resilience and freedom. Lastly, don't fear solitude. Nietzsche believed that only those comfortable alone can love others fully. Solitude is a space for reflection, strength-building, and self-mastery. The man who embodies these principles will not be a slave to passion, but its master. He will love deeply, live boldly, and remain unshaken by life's inevitable storms. Nietzsche's philosophy shatters illusions, but also offers a path to authentic power and freedom in love. It challenges men to reject weak sentimentality and embrace a fuller, more complex understanding of human nature. In the next segment, we will explore Nietzsche's critique of morality, how conventional ideas of good and evil distort relationships, and how embracing a new master morality can revolutionize how men interact with women and themselves. Having explored Nietzsche's raw, unvarnished view of love and desire, we now turn to his most radical critique, the idea that traditional morality itself is a prison, one that distorts human relationships and keeps men weak and confused. Nietzsche's attack on conventional morality, what he called slave morality, is pivotal for understanding his philosophy of power, self-mastery, and authentic living. This morality, inherited from Judeo-Christian values, teaches men to suppress their instincts, desire, and will in favor of meekness, self-denial, and conformity. Why does Nietzsche call it slave morality? Because it originates in the resentment of the weak toward the strong. It glorifies weakness, humility, and submission, turning them into virtues, while demonizing strength, ambition, and pride as evil. This morality creates a psychological environment where men are taught to distrust their own nature. They are conditioned to feel guilt and shame for natural impulses like aggression, dominance, and passion, forces that Nietzsche saw as essential for life and creativity. When applied to relationships and women, this moral framework does immense damage. Men are told to suppress their desires, to be passive and accommodating, to put women on a pedestal as pure and virtuous beings. But Nietzsche exposes this as a dangerous illusion. He argues that by denying their own instincts and power, men become weak, dependent, and lost, easy prey for manipulation and disappointment. Instead of embracing their nature, they become trapped in self-hatred and false ideals. The good man in this system is often a man who denies himself and is unable to truly connect with life's vitality. This sets the stage for toxic dynamics in relationships. Men who adhere blindly to slave morality often fall into patterns of self-sacrifice that go unnoticed or exploited. Women, consciously or not, may sense this weakness and respond in ways that perpetuate the imbalance. Nietzsche's solution, the rise of a new morality, the master morality, which celebrates strength, creativity, nobility, and the will to power. This is not about brute force or tyranny, but about affirming life and becoming the fullest version of oneself. Master morality demands honesty, courage, and self-respect. It calls men to reclaim their instincts, to recognize their drives as sources of energy and creativity, rather than shameful impulses. For men seeking authentic relationships, this means rejecting the cultural scripts of weakness and victimhood. It means standing firm in your identity, expressing your desires openly and responsibly, and refusing to be diminished by guilt or societal expectations. Nietzsche's master morality also embraces a noble form of generosity, one that does not stem from obligation or weakness, but from abundance and strength. This generosity is given freely, without expectation or manipulation, because it flows from an empowered self. It's a morality that recognizes the complex, often contradictory nature of human beings, including women. Rather than idealizing or demonizing, it accepts reality in all its shades, including the darker, more challenging aspects. Nietzsche's critique thus invites men to approach relationships not as arenas of moral duty or victimization, but as dynamic fields of mutual growth and power exchange. This perspective radically shifts how one sees interactions with women. It demands that men discard simplistic stereotypes and illusions, and instead engage with women as autonomous, powerful beings, sometimes contradictory, sometimes difficult, but always real. The man who lives by master morality does not fear conflict or complexity. He understands that relationships require struggle and negotiation, not surrender or domination. By embracing this, men can break free from the toxic cycles of codependency and resentment. They become architects of their own destiny, forging bonds that are alive, challenging, and empowering. Moreover, Nietzsche's call to become who you are resonates deeply here. Men must dig beneath societal programming and discover their authentic selves, including their sexual nature, emotional depth, and creative impulses. This self-knowledge is the foundation for any genuine connection. Without it, relationships remain shallow, fraught with misunderstanding and unfulfilled needs. Nietzsche also warns against the herd mentality, the tendency to follow popular opinion without question. When it comes to love and gender roles, this herd mentality keeps men trapped in outdated scripts and toxic narratives. Breaking free means questioning everything you've been told about masculinity, femininity, love, and morality. It means embracing the discomfort of growth and the uncertainty of forging your own path. And this path, though difficult, leads to true freedom. Freedom not just from external constraints, but from the internal chains of fear, guilt, and false morality. As Nietzsche himself said, one must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. This chaos, the wild, untamed forces within, must be embraced and integrated, not denied or repressed. In relationships, this means allowing passion, desire, and conflict to play their roles in growth and transformation. It means rejecting simplistic narratives of victimhood or villainy and instead stepping into complexity. This new morality, this new way of being, promises a deeper, more authentic engagement with life and love, one where men reclaim their power, responsibility, and joy. In the upcoming segment, we will explore Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the overman or superman, as the ultimate ideal for men seeking mastery over themselves, their desires, and their relationships. We'll uncover how this ideal offers practical wisdom for transcending the limitations imposed by society, biology, and culture to become creators of your own values and destiny. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman, is perhaps his most famous and misunderstood concept. It's not about physical strength or superhero powers, but about the radical transformation of the self beyond conventional morality and limitations. The Übermensch is the individual who has fully embraced Nietzsche's call to become who you are. This person has rejected the herd mentality, the slave morality that dominates society, and has forged their own values and meaning. But why is this relevant to our discussion on relationships, love, and the dark truths that men often ignore? Because the Übermensch represents the highest form of self-mastery and authenticity. This is the man who does not depend on others for validation or identity, who is not enslaved by societal expectations, and who approaches relationships from a position of strength and freedom. The Übermensch's power lies not in dominating others, but in mastering himself, his desires, fears, and drives, and channeling them creatively. This mastery allows him to engage with women and relationships, not as a victim or a servant, but as an equal creator of meaning and experience. He sees love not as a desperate need or a source of suffering, but as a dynamic force that can inspire growth, creativity, and transformation. This man is aware of the potential for pain and conflict in relationships, but does not shy away from them. Instead, he embraces these challenges as opportunities for growth. In Nietzsche's vision, to love well, a man must first be whole and sovereign within himself. Only then can he freely give and receive love without losing his identity or power. The Übermensch is also fearless in facing the eternal return, Nietzsche's thought experiment that asks us to live as if we had to relive every moment infinitely. This idea compels one to live authentically and fully, accepting even suffering as part of life's meaning. In relationships, this means owning your choices and accepting the consequences, rather than blaming others or circumstances. Nietzsche's Übermensch thus offers a roadmap for men to transcend the pain, confusion, and limitations imposed by traditional morality and societal roles. It challenges men to rise above victimhood, resentment, and passivity, and instead to live boldly, creatively, and authentically. But what does this look like in practical terms? How can a man begin to embody the Übermensch in his daily life and relationships? First, it starts with radical self-honesty. This means confronting your own weaknesses, desires, and fears without denial or excuses. It requires deep reflection and willingness to question your beliefs and habits. Second, it demands courage to reject the values and narratives imposed by the herd, to carve your own path, even if it means standing alone. Third, it involves cultivating emotional resilience, the ability to endure hardship, conflict, and rejection without losing your core self. Fourth, it means developing creative power, the capacity to shape your life, your relationships, and your values actively rather than passively accepting what is given. In this process, relationships become not chains or prisons, but arenas for self-expression and mutual transformation. A relationship with a woman, then, is a dance between two autonomous creators, each challenging and inspiring the other to grow. This dynamic is far removed from traditional models based on dependency, control, or moral obligation. Nietzsche's vision calls for a new kind of masculinity, one rooted in power, creativity, and authenticity, rather than dominance or submission. It is a masculinity that embraces complexity, paradox, and the full range of human experience. As we move forward, it's crucial to recognize that this path is not easy or comfortable. Becoming the Übermensch requires sacrifice, struggle, and relentless self-overcoming. But the reward is a life of meaning, freedom, and profound connection, not only with others but with oneself. In the next section, we will explore practical strategies and mindset shifts inspired by Nietzsche's philosophy to help you begin this journey toward becoming the Übermensch. We will also examine common obstacles men face and how to overcome them using Nietzschean wisdom. So here's the deal. Nietzsche isn't just some old philosopher with tough ideas. He's challenging us to wake up, take control, and stop fooling ourselves. If you're ready to dig deeper and truly master your own life, this is the place to be. If this video hit home for you, do me a favor. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think, and share this with someone who needs to hear it too. And if you're serious about growing stronger, smarter, and more self-aware, make sure to subscribe. We're just getting started.